Hey everybody, welcome back to DBZ Talk. My name is JB Mega,
And I'm Young Bread.
and today we're going to be doing a new slash old series that we did it a long time ago on our old videos, but we're going to kind of bring it back. The our top 5 or top 10s depending on what it is. And as you can tell by the title today, we're doing our top 5 favorite Dragon Ball, Dragon Ball Z, Super, whatever movies. Um, TV specials are included, certain ones, and you'll kind of tell in our list that, like, at least I do. I don't know if Daniel does because we don't know each other's list. But one of mine is like one of the TV specials, but I consider it a movie. So it's on there. So get over it. All right. We're just going to get right into it. Number 5, Daniel, do you want to start off?
Sure. I got my number five, Cooler's Revenge. And I had a really hard time putting this at number five because it is a really good movie. Uh, but, it's kind of old now, but it doesn't take away of how good this movie is. You get an introduction of Frieza's brother. You get a whole, like, backstory, a little bit of, like, Goku leaving Namek. Or, not Namek, Planet Vegeta. And it just kind of it widens the DBZ universe, and I don't know. I really this movie stuck out to me a lot as a kid. It was one of my favorites, and so it definitely had to be on this list.
Nice. All right. My number 5. This one's gonna be a little because I know a lot of people aren't a fan of it. Super Android 13 or whatever. I think that's what the movie's called. I don't even know that. I think it's Super 13, but basically that. The reason why I like it so much is just because it's just a bunch of action, and that's the best part about Dragon Ball Z is the action. It's got an intro which is a couple minutes long, but it just gets straight into the action. It's just a bunch of fighting. It's just a lot of fun. It's a fun movie to watch. So that's kind of why it's at my number 5. Uh, it's one of those fun movies. If you just want to watch it, you just throw it on. You just sit back and watch the action. You don't have to worry about like dialogue. You can just sit back and watch people beat the crap out of each other. That's mainly the only reason why it's there. That's why I like it.
I love that movie too, just for the same reason.
Mm-hmm.
It's nothing but pure fighting. There's little dialogue and murder.
One of the motives too are terrible, but
Right,
again, it's just fighting, so I love it.
right, all right. Number four.
Mm-hmm.
Number four. My number four is Broly, the first one, the first Broly movie, and the reason why is because again it broadens the Dragon Ball Z universe. You get this whole new Saiyan introduction. You get this like beast of a man who just comes in and has like unlimited power because he's like the legend that Vegeta fears of a Super Saiyan, and it's like what I think a Super Saiyan originally was. Like whenever they talk about the legendary Super Saiyan, like whenever they're on Namek,
Yeah.
I think Broly's power and abilities should be what that Super Saiyan entails. Now, don't get me wrong, I love what Super Saiyan is and I love it as a whole. But like as much as Vegeta talked it up on Namek, I always imagined that like Broly was the one in every like 10,000 years Super Saiyan.
Yeah, the one of legend or whatever.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. My number 4 is Daniel's number 5, Cooler's Revenge. Cooler's Revenge to me is very special because it was the only Dragon Ball Z movie that I had on VHS tape, like way back in the day. I would watch that movie so much, and some of the story points on it aren't even that good. Like in the middle of it, it kind of drags at certain points. The thing for me was just the way that the intro started, because the intro, especially if you watch like the English version with like the old soundtrack, not the like new one where they redid the soundtrack, it's not as good. The old soundtrack that they made for the very first time, um, it's probably my favorite movie intro ever out of any Dragon Ball Z movie. it's probably top 5 a lot of movies in general, just the opening. Um, and then the introduction of having Cooler come in, Goku like being confused for a second, thinking it's Frieza, and then turns out it's someone else, and they kind of give you that little ironic thing of Cooler, not killing Goku when he was flying to Earth and saying Frieza can clean up his own mess, and then, well, that's the person that turns around that beats Frieza. And then so he goes and deals with Goku himself. And then, Goku eventually at the end goes Super Saiyan on him. And then Cooler, when he's dying, realizes that he should have just killed him there, for his family. So
Right.
I don't know. It's not great in terms of like some of the points in the story and like the dialogue, but it's more nostalgic to me than anything. That's why it's at my number 4, and it has one of the coolest soundtracks. Like, period. I don't care.
It's definitely a classic, and the music is
I love
top
it.
notch. Number 3.
Mm-hmm.
Number 3 is the Turles movie for me, and I went back and forth on this one on putting either Resurrection F or the Turles movie, but I put this one specifically for the scene of where Turles like has Goku pinned down and he like just energy blasts him over and over again, just because of like it showed how brutal the Saiyans were and like how unforgiving they were.
Yeah.
And I remember that this movie so much and how just like strong and brutal is like the only word I could think of for Turles to describe him, and it just amazed me because he was a lot more ruthless than Vegeta was, and he was a
Mm-hmm.
lot like more. He wasn't as strong as Vegeta, but he was still just ridiculous about like everything that he did. And you get a good Gohan moment too, and Gohan used to be my favorite character whenever he was a kid, because like whenever I watched Dragon Ball, whenever I was little, I always like imagined myself as Gohan. So
Yeah, because we kind of grew up with them, like, because we were
yeah,
around that age.
yeah. So you get a good Gohan moment in there. You just see the brutalness of Saiyans, and it was amazing. So I had to put this at number 3.
All right, my number 3, another one, going to be a little bit controversial. It kind of has the same reasons as Super 13 for being here, but I don't care. I enjoy it. BoJack Unbound.
Love
So again, it's got a short opening, and then it just gets straight into fighting when they're doing that tournament or whatever. It's just Gohan's there, Trunks there, Piccolo's there, Tien's there, Krillin's there. I think Krillin, yeah. And then they're I think Krillin's there. I can't remember.
Yeah, he is.
They're all just fighting, and they're doing these like different rounds of stuff, and then just out of nowhere, these pretty much pirates in a sense, break out, and they come to Earth, and then they appear at the where the 4 people who got through the tournament ended up going, and they started fighting them. And then you got Gohan coming in, being the Goku, because Goku was dead at that point, being the man and stepping up and fighting everybody. And then you had, obviously all the DBZ fighters come in. And then it was cool too because they had a little bit of a story beat in there. Trunks was like, I wish, Dad would be here, because
Mm-hmm.
this was right after Cell. So Vegeta was like, I'm never fighting again, because Kakarot didn't, he selflessly gave his life, so he doesn't think that I'm a threat anymore to planet Earth. So I'm not fighting anymore. And so it was a cool dynamic when he came in. He had a little bit less of time with BoJack than I thought he should have, but it was, it was running kind of long at that point. And then Gohan had his badass moment where he goes Super Saiyan 2 and
Yep.
just punches the crap out of BoJack once. And there is a little bit of a kind of a crappy scene where Goku intervenes even though he's dead and punches BoJack, and BoJack's like, "Who's that, Goku?" But I can kind of forgive that because it is a non-canon movie, so it's just it's a lot of action again, and I like those in the movies because they're better off. Um, so that's trying to think of anything else. No, that's about it for me. All right, number
Number two.
two.
Number two for me is Battle of the Gods, and the reason I put this at number two is because it, first of all, it introduced like Dragon Ball Super. This is how we got introduced to the whole new series that came out for Dragon Ball Z.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, Also, it brings Beerus and Whis in as characters, and you get to see the whole dynamic between them, and you get to like see a villain that's not really a villain like Beerus, who is on a whole other level, and they didn't even know it existed because the strongest person they had fought at the time was Boo. And you also get to see, at the end of the movie, Whis knocks Beerus out in one hit. So that's a whole other thing. But you also get the new transformation of like Super Saiyan God, which I thought the way they transformed into Super Saiyan God was kind of dumb.
Yeah.
But I thought the transformation itself, like after it was finished, was cool, and I loved that he retained the ability after he like got out of it. But it's because it introduced Super, and because Super's here, we have all these videos that we're able to do, like the Moro
Mm.
Saga and the Tournament of Power and everything.
Mm-hmm. Remember going to see Battle of the Gods 2 in theaters? It was me,
Oh
you, and a
yeah,
bunch of other people.
oh yeah, loved it.
That was dope. I love
I
that.
still I still have my ticket in my wallet.
I think I've got mine somewhere. All right. My number two is Bardock, the father of Goku. So Bardock, is one of my favorite characters. Not just because he's the father of Goku, just because in general, as the way he acts, the way his demeanor is. At least before they made, the new Broly movie and made a new Bardock, pretty much. I loved him in this because they didn't give you any. They didn't make you think like, oh, he's deep down a really good guy. He's a cold like killer. He's a
Mm,
Saiyan. He goes out there and he does his thing. And the only reason that he had any sort of sense of like kind of trying to redeem himself was because he got a glimpse of the future. And it was kind of cool too because we saw other Saiyan moments. We saw Vegeta as a kid. One day, like vowing to beat Frieza. Obviously, you had Goku, being a baby in there, so that was kind of cool. And then you had at the end, Bardock knowing he couldn't kill Frieza, still standing up to him. And they didn't give you any sympathy really to the other Saiyans either, because they were a bunch of jerks too. All the
right.
Saiyans were jerks. So it was a cool dynamic because you always think oh well Vegeta's avenging his blood or his heritage and all that stuff, but it's like you see it from the other side of how they were dicks and they weren't the best of people. So it was a really cool dynamic for that, and that's why I kind of like it there. And the way they portrayed Bardock was really good. They didn't make it like, oh, he was a good, humble man. He was just a Saiyan that was in a bad place. No, he was a jerk, and that's I don't know. That's why I really like that. So that's why that's my number two.
Right. Makes sense. All right. Number one.
Yep.
Number one. My number one is the new Broly movie, and because it's it brings back to Broly being the legendary Super Saiyan that I was talking about earlier. But I also always wanted them to make Broly canon, and they said that this movie would be canon, and they completely changed Broly's backstory, which I love his new story now.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, I love his new outfit, his new look. I like that he is a kind person. He's just like a bit more confused, I guess, because he grew up so alone and isolated. But now he has like those two people that are his friends, and they also have like the ability to bring him back. Like they didn't kill him, which Gogeta was gonna kill him, but
Right.
they they saved him. They put him back on his home planet where he could be happy, and Goku even said that he wanted to come back and fight him. He said that he was stronger than Jiren, which is awesome because Jiren was may have been a bad character, but like brutally strong.
Yeah.
And so Broly, being a full blooded Saiyan like Goku and Vegeta, that's canon. So you know, uh, he's like actually matters, and he like Toriyama just gave him a whole new like design and storyline, and I just loved it. I loved everything Toriyama changed Broly into.
Nice. All right. My number one is kind of what I was talking about earlier. It's a TV special, but I mean it is a movie pretty much. It's the history of Trunks. That's my number one. The reason why the history of Trunks is my number one is because first off, it ended in another way, kind of like Bardock, where all the Saiyans got killed, and here you knew what was going to happen. Gohan was going to get killed, Trunks was going to eventually get beaten over and over and over and have to go back in time. And it's cool because it focuses around like Trunks and a Gohan that we haven't seen. You know, we've heard about him through the Cell Saga, but we never like saw him or saw how
Right.
he acted. It was a new Gohan, teaching Trunks, getting him to learn, try to become a Super Saiyan, and inevitably, he did after Gohan was killed. But it was such a different tone for a movie because it was just so like defeating at times, like how bleak that the outlook was, and um there were just a lot of moments in there, man, that like really got to you, like especially when Trunks goes Super Saiyan.
Yeah.
It's one of those moments that'll get to you, man. And there's no Dragon Balls, so there's no hope there. And then you know Gohan just goes and fights and fights and fights and just tries as hard as he can, but he just gets outmatched. And so it ends on a darker note than normally what they are before. And obviously, the ending where, Trunks goes, he comes back, he beats him. But if you're just looking at it as that by itself, it's so different and it's so cool in a sense
Mm-hmm.
that I really enjoy watching that. So that's my number one.
Well, that Trunks had the best Super Saiyan transformation next to Goku. He was like the only one that like besides Goku that like went out of pure rage because someone he cared about died.
Yeah, dude. And Gohan was just like in the rain, just dead in like a puddle. And
I know.
he's just trying to like he's like, Gohan, Master, get up. Oh
Mm-hmm.
man, dude. That gets to you. It
Right.
gets to you.
That's so good.
Man.
You got
So
any
good.
honorable mentions?
I think one of my honor mentions would be I'll do about two if you want to do about two as well. I guess my first honorable would be the new Broly movie. I liked it. Um Action in it was dope. For me, it just to a point I didn't like that he was just automatically on par with like Super Saiyan God and Super Saiyan God or Super Saiyan God and Super Saiyan God Super Saiyan, you know?
Mm-hmm.
I kind of felt
Mm-hmm.
like that was a bit of an overreach for him to like just beginningly just bam get up there over the fight. Like I get the point of him adapting over time, but it's kind of like, well, he adapted to fighting Vegeta and Super Saiyan and then Super Saiyan God, and then it just kept going and going and going to where Gogeta was the one that had to fight him in Super Saiyan God, Super Saiyan. At
Mm-hmm.
that point, I was kind of thrown out of it a little bit. But the points that you made, though, I 100% agree. Like Broly now is way better than it was before.
Right.
So I guess
Uh,
that's my first honorable mention.
my first honorable mention will have to be Cooler's Revenge, or maybe it's not Revenge.
Cooler's
It's
Return.
yeah, Return of Cooler. Uh, I like that one because I liked that they brought in like the whole kind of like Mecha Frieza kind of vibe to
Yeah.
it, but then you also get to see Goku and Vegeta fight together. And back then, that was something that didn't happen whenever that movie came out.
Mm-hmm.
So to see them fight side by side, which I'm pretty sure that was my first like whenever I saw them fight together. That was the first time I saw that happen. So I love that. I love the cooler army that happened, uh, and it's a great way to stay in shape.
Yeah, I guess my last honorable mention would be probably Battle of the Gods. Again,
Hmm.
for most of the reasons that you gave, it set up the entire Super arc. Or Super Saga, sorry. It did a lot and it set up a lot of things. It was like, hey, there's a bunch of universes out there too, and hey, I'm not even the strongest one. Oh yeah, hey, Whis behind me. Yeah, he's the one that trained me. I'm not even the strongest dude. And it's just kind of like your eyes just kind of keep getting bigger and bigger and bigger because you're like, there's so much more out there now,
Yeah,
and
like it just
it
opens
was a
up the
really
whole
cool dynamic.
universe.
So that's my last honorable mention.
Uh, my last honorable mention will probably be Lord Slug. I like the Lord Slug thing because I always liked Namex or Namekians, and you get to see this whole new Namekian with like the powers that Piccolo had, where he could like go giant, and he was just a monster. He came to Earth, and he immediately knew what the Dragon Balls were and used them to like, which was like one of the first villains to be able to use the Dragon Balls, which was
Mm-hmm.
cool. You always get to see, both sides of the spectrum on that. And he didn't wish for immortality like most of the villains, but he did wish for his like prime strength back, and it was great. I loved watching that movie, and I love the abridged version of it too. It's one of my favorite abridged.
One Goku has that cool, like the halfway Super Saiyan ish type
But yeah,
thing, that
yeah,
transformation.
the fall Super Saiyan.
Like the only time that ever happens too, so that's pretty cool.
Yeah, I loved. That was another one. Is I love the fall Super Saiyan because King Kai was like, he's a Super Saiyan. Wait, no, he's not.
Yeah.
But he his eyes disappeared. It was almost like Kaioken in a way as well. But
Yeah, it was like a blend.
yeah, but it was awesome. I love that movie. Um, Anything else?
Nice. I think that's about it. So that is our top 5 with honorable mentions. So if you want to leave yours in the comments below, just what your top 5, one or two honorable mentions, and then if you have any recommendations on anything you want us to talk about, if there's like any what if fights or top 5 things, or hey, what about this? Just and we'll see what we can do, and we'll do it. So for me at least, that is going to do it. So I will speak to you all later. Bye
Yep.
bye now.
Make sure you guys check us out on Spotify and Apple Podcasts or wherever you get your podcast. And we will see you in the next video. Bye bye.